Hey, what's up everybody? Daniel here from Never Enough Tech. There's still a lot to cover from WWDC 2020. In this video, I want to stray off that normal path of walking through an OS, as fun as it is, and instead show off some Apple apps that aren't pre-installed or found in the App Store. Instead, I'll show you apps meant specifically for developers. Oh, how mysterious. These developer apps are crafted to demonstrate a new software tool, or API, that can make completing a normally complex coding slog, like detecting the tip of a pointer finger, achievable with just a few lines of code. These developer-oriented apps are offshoots of the developer sessions, the stuff that happens after the keynote. So they really are an effective probe into Apple's priorities in terms of technologies and user interface schemes Apple wants developers to embrace and propagate in their apps. Let's unravel Apple's agenda. In this video, I will cover significant enhancements to augmented reality, body detection via the Vision framework, PencilKit, and the user interface. Okay, with no further delay, AR apps. First app I want to show off is an AR robot bug that farts around your living room. Why is this special? There are lots of apps like this. Mostly dinosaurs. Well, unlike previous AR apps without LiDAR, this bug has a better sense of how objects are laid out in 3D space. So it can hop on and off the couch, it can climb on the walls, it is obscured by this column. Notice that when I draw a path, it goes along the carpet, then up the side of the couch, then along the seating area, and then back down. Another impressive capability of this app is its ability to map the room on the fly, stitching the room together as I move the camera around. All this is greatly enhanced by the LiDAR. Have I mentioned LiDAR? Oh, very precise. Yeah, it's a wall. It's about 8 feet away. Now I'd like to point out that all this cool bug stuff doesn't happen automatically. Developers will need to upgrade their apps with tools provided in ARKit 4.0, which requires iOS 14. Another AR app, which you may have seen earlier, is a fog simulator. The effect of emerging from the fog like this would be difficult to pull off with just camera alone, as you really need to know how far the human is from the camera. This app gives you some sense of how LiDAR can really pump up the atmospherics of your simulated environment. On top of this, LiDAR gives a developer the freedom to move the atmosphere element around with little effort. Here's the fog peak at 3 meters and 5 meters. Okay, yeah, it's a little cheesy. I'll frankly admit none of this is blow your AR socks off quite yet, but try to remember these are just basic sample apps. Let's all hope that Apple continues to make major gains in their developer tools, and that the developer community continues to hone their skills, with a Z, culminating in an awesome AR glasses experience. That's right, I'll say it, this AR stuff is mostly playtime until Apple Glass gets here. All right, moving on to Vision apps. 3 apps I want to show off here, each trying to recognize your body parts. Hello. First up, this HandPosed Recognizer. So the app here is looking for the tip of the index finger and the thumb. When it notices a pinch, the user can start drawing. I modified it so when the user spreads their fingers, the drawing goes away. It's that kind of firework display that brings people back to this channel. Maybe the big deal here is that now the developer can get the location of fingers with just a few lines of code. Beyond drawing, I see developers exploring ways to increase users' ability to control the device without having to touch it. Here I modify the app to toggle through recipes by recognizing a pinch. Maybe my hands are dirty from cooking and I don't want to bespatter the screen. In the next app, Apple is showing off how easy it is to detect and visualize body position. I augmented this app to judge my dancing. It's mean. It's a mean app. I'm sure Apple would love if the iPad entrenched itself more in the sports science and physical therapy world. It doesn't take too much imagination to see how this tool could be used to understand the mechanics of a good golf swing or measure progress in physical motion after an accident. Yes, this technology is not new, but it is being democratized here, such that the entry bar to start developing in this world is plummeting, and that's good. All right, last Vision app, Beanbag Toss Analyzer. Apple is maybe trying to do too much here, and the results are a little sad. In theory, this app will determine the kind of throw, underhand, under the leg, hey, overhand, as well as the speed and angle of the throw, and use Vision to keep score. The only part of this app that kinda works is the body recognizer. I pulled out a tripod and attached $3,000 worth of equipment to capture good video and upload it, and tried this a couple times, and this was as good as I got. A full-featured sports score clearly requires more than a sample app effort. I have never had less fun playing beanbag toss in my life. I may never play again. Thanks, Apple. Moving on, PencilKit apps. Apple's BFD announcement in this area was definitely Scribble, the ability to handwrite in virtually any text field and have it translate to typed text. It's pretty cool. This app here shows off a little more how flexible it can be. Developers can easily configure this so a new text field appears when you start writing, as you see here and in an app like Reminders. You can start as many new fields as you want or edit existing fields. The developer can choose how quickly the handwriting turns to type, whether the field stays active, and whether the field auto-completes. The simple text sticker action I'm showing off here could be useful in a Notes app. One notable feature that I failed to mention in my previous Scribble video is that the developer can customize the Scribble palette. These are Apple's default buttons, and here are the developer-defined functionalities. I placed a few in there for funsies. I've elected to have a black and white text toggle, font size up and down button, a randomized color button, and a dedicated space and delete key. I really think the Scribble palette has a lot of potential and has the flexibility to really conform to the specific needs of an app. Just for my viewers, some extra Scribble tips. Yes, scratch out to delete, but also draw a vertical line to mimic the spacebar, and hold the pencil down to create space between words for editing purposes. Okay, so if you're using a pencil with an A on it, it is for Scribble, not shape recognition. I added a link to a drawing canvas to see if shape recognition is auto-added. Nope. Sadly, shape recognition for now is reserved for only notes, screen capture, and markup. This is confirmed in Apple's dev forums. At this time, Apple is not opening up those tools to developers. Not sure why. One other PencilKit app made available to developers is a handwriting training app. It put chills down my spine. Anyway, PencilKit has added software tools for recording the shape and path of a drawing. Apple showed how this could be used to judge handwriting or how to properly construct a letter. I learned that I'm still hopeless. Perhaps handwriting is not as critical as it once was, but I do see these tools as being a good way to practice fine motor skills. Perhaps some physical therapy rehabilitation applications could be used to teach students how to, in fine detail, step through math problems, properly draw an object, draw engineering diagrams. Also probably opens up some Zen indie game capabilities. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Cool ad by Apple. All right, last one. New user interface. Got an app here where all the little UI elements are all in one place. Pretty cool. Pretty much all the UI is refined to some degree, though some elements changes are much more noticeable than others. I'll cover the ones that struck me the most. So if Scribble pulls the iPad in the tablet direction, these sidebars pull the iPad more in a laptop, desktop, macOS direction. What are these sidebars replacing? Well, toolbars and navigation bars. Apple is signaling that they think toolbars and navigation bars should be more unique to the iPhone experience. Perhaps they're right. Let's move on to page control. You know what I'm talking about. Those dots on your homepage. Here you can see a new ability to change pages by sliding your finger over the page controller. Previously, you could just move one dot at a time with a page swipe or a tap on either side. Nice enhancement. On top of this, developers can start adding custom symbols to help guide and orient the user. On top of that, the page dots are placed into kind of a horizontal scroll wheel of sorts. So when the dots start to sprawl, it keeps them contained, allowing for a more tight look and the ability to keep the dots a more reasonable size. Moving on. Activity indicators got chunkier. So, more fun. Little changes make a big difference. Date Picker received quite an overhaul, allowing you to pick a date in a calendar view for dates that are close, or with a UI Picker if you want to skip months and years. The UI Picker is the Price is Right wheel, essentially.
He has 85 cents.
In iOS 14, Apple seemed to realize that scroll wheels were being used too much, the alarm clock being a good example. And there are more direct ways to complete the task at hand. The color picker got one of the biggest overhauls, being previously non-existent. I added a color picker to the Scribble app. It was really easy to integrate. You'll probably see it a lot. You get a color grid, a color spectrum, and RGB sliders. with the hex code. You can slide your finger around willy-nilly, adjust opacity, and you can save colors for later use. Pretty useful. I'll have to integrate this into my cube solving app. That was a really subtle plug. Next, the image picker. In case you miss it, this thing got supercharged. In the old clunky model released in iOS 2, so 2008, developers were limited to one photo selection, though Apple seemed to have enabled the ability to select multiple photos just for themselves in apps like Safari and Notes. Anyway, this picking limitation explains why you see so many different photo picker implementations. Just think about it. Are you thinking? Oh, it's a lot. I thought about it. On top of this, Photo Picker did not have a search bar function. With the new Photo Picker tool, you can filter by photos and albums and type keywords to more easily locate the distant picture. On the other side, developers can also more easily filter on their end, like show only live photos and videos, if it's a GIF making app. Hold on, there's more. You can pinch to zoom, and you can review your selections in a nice spacious preview interface before you upload. Big improvements. One never enough tech additional info nugget. Gotta get this segment sponsored. The host app will not be able to screen capture your photos in this view, so an extra privacy layer to boot. iOS gets better. So another big iPadOS iOS 14 user interface change is the emphasis placed on the pop-up menu. Apple thinks there is a lot more value you can place into a single button than simply performing one action. In iOS 14, Apple has made it easier for developers to configure a button to meet multiple purposes. Using the Save button as an example, the user can just press Save or hold for more contextually relevant actions. This is particularly useful in a scenario where you might have to press the back button a million times after going down a rabbit hole menu. In iOS 14, you will be able to hold a back button and have the option to skip where you want to go. So this is all pretty nifty and clearly a direction Apple wants developers to move. There are some drawbacks with this multifunction button scheme. Specifically, the user does not have any physical clues that the button may be multi-purpose, or conversely that a button will pull up a menu opposed to completing an action. Keep working at Apple, I like the direction. On a closing note, say goodbye to the menu thought bubble pointer. Well, my boss is telling me I'm running out of time. Hope this video gave you some useful insights into iOS 14 that you haven't picked up already. Some of you may be screaming that I did not cover widgets here. I did do a video on widgets. If you want me to follow up and dig deep on widgets with developer insights, subscribe, give this video a like, and maybe write that this video is awesome and you demand a widget video. Not too much effort on your part. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.